What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Truck Talk, brought to you by me, inspired by my man, Chili. I'm glad you're here this morning. I want to tell you guys a cool story, all right? And it's going to be a story about a storyteller. And this storyteller that I'm going to speak about today is one that a lot of you guys know here on YouTube by the name of MrBallen. Yep, John B. Allen. He's a former Navy SEAL, and now he has a massively successful YouTube channel where he tells strange and mysterious stories, and he's really good at it. I'm also a storyteller myself, so I can appreciate his craft. I want to tell you the story of when I first met MrBallen, John Allen. It was in probably the winter of 2018, I would imagine, and MrBallen had created this organization called Elite Meet, and he had built this organization to help Naval Special Warfare members transition from their military career to their civilian life. And one of my friends invited me to one of these Elite Meet meetings. It was actually the best leader that I had ever served under. His name was Brandon Tucker. Brandon invited me to this Elite Meet meeting, and somehow I mustered up the courage to show up because I was really standoffish about this. It was really the first time I had been exposed to someone who had created an environment and a resource for other people simply to help them. And I didn't understand that. See, I thought this guy, MrBallen, who had created this platform and this resource for us, I thought there's no way he's doing that because he really just wants to help people. There's no way he's doing that just because he's simply passionate about helping people. I thought he's got to want something from me. And when I showed up, I saw him there, and he was mingling with the people, the members there. And I might have even shook his hand and had a few words with him. But I remember being real standoffish, thinking, what does he want from me? Surely he's doing this for some sort of selfish and personal gain. Boy, was I wrong. That day, I sat down at the meeting, and MrBallen had brought a speaker in. And this speaker was the initial spark that began to change the way that I think. And I believe had a role in changing the course of my life. I don't remember his name. Maybe MrBallen can comment and let us know who the speaker was. But as I listened to this speaker, he started out the speech by giving out everyone a $2 bill. And then he actually gave away $100 to one of the guys sitting in the audience. And he begins to talk about how to stand out in the world and how to impact people in unique ways. And then he said something that I've never forgotten since that very day. One single statement. He was telling his story of entrepreneurship. And this speaker said, every morning I wake up, and the first thing that the first problem I try to solve is, how am I going to make $10,000 today in my business? How am I going to make $10,000 today? And that freaking blew my mind, dude. That blew my mind. That was 2 months worth of pay for me. And here's a man who thinks big enough that he can wake up in the morning and try and make an effort to make $10,000 in one day. Like, he thinks that big? Are you serious? I had never been exposed to anyone who thought that big. And it began to make me realize how freaking small I thought. And how that was going to hinder me, and how there was more out there to be had in life and in business and in success. And he wrapped the meeting up, And I left. And they didn't ask me for anything. He didn't ask me for my email address. He didn't ask me for money. They didn't ask me to join. They didn't ask me for anything. This organization was just simply glad that I was there. They were simply glad that this elite meet was simply glad that they had provided a place for me to come and hear something that was going to impact me moving forward. And so this man, MrBallen, although he probably doesn't remember meeting me that day, the work that he had put into providing that resource for us, for me, impacted me, and I believe changed the course of my life and began to change the way I think in just one meeting. And I want to thank him for that, man. If you guys don't follow this dude, you should go follow him, because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, he thinks big, and he's somebody that we can look up to, that we can learn from, that we can watch and study. And you know, if you guys listen to his story, I always wondered what happened to Elite Meet, because after a while I started to hear less and less about it, and I just figured this thing's got to take off. Shortly thereafter, I had gotten out of the Navy, but I just figured this thing has got to take off. And I don't know if they're still doing their meetings or not, but apparently MrBallen was essentially ran out of town by the veteran community. Not the veteran community, I guess the active duty community, because of what he was doing. Helping dudes. Freaking insane, man. You have to listen to his own story. This dude literally provided not the most impactful thing in my transition. He provided the literal only impactful thing that I received during my transition out of the military. Thank you, man. So, I just wanted to highlight that, tell that story, and thank MrBallen for being an awesome human being. Go subscribe to his channel. Learn from him, man. If you got anything out of this episode, go get you a hat, get you a t-shirt, keep my man Chili in the dungeon. Thank you guys for all the support that you give us here on the channel. It means a lot to me to know that you guys are repping 307 Project gear all over the country. For you guys that join us on Patreon and contribute there. For you guys that comment and tune into these truck talks and share them and support me. It's the only way all this happens. I love you guys. Enough said.